Okay, we're up and live on Zoom. We have, as you can see on here, we have three council in chambers with myself and the clerk. And joining us on Zoom will be Ed, as everyone can see. So we go ahead and have roll call.
Smith.
Stelter.
Graham.
Weatherly.
Woods. You have the minutes of the March meeting. A motion to approve.
Move to be approved the March meeting minutes.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions on March meetings minutes? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is minutes from the April meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve April's meeting minutes.
Smith makes a motion.
I'll second that.
Crystal seconds. Any discussion on April's minutes? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is presentation of claims.
I'll make a motion we accept the claims.
Second that.
Smith makes a motion, accept the claims. Paul seconds.
Is this your handwriting?
Just depends on what mood I'm in.
Mine's never the same, ever.
Some of the extra ones on there is Culligan for chlorine for the water system. What we're doing is, you can see we're doing a remodel in City Hall. So there's some chairs on there. There's probably a desk on there and another desk to come. The desks aren't on here yet, but they're coming. We're doing some remodeling in here. You can see a chlorine injector and tank. Since we keep having some odd water samples, the state is asking us to do just a mild chlorinization, and so that's the pump and stuff, so we don't have to borrow that anymore. We'll just have it set up and well number one ready to go all the time. So all we have to do is turn it on if the state requires us.
Okay. You guys want to check this out? It's stuff for the fire truck.
Okay, again.
Seems to do that a lot. Just kind of come up out.
So are the new trucks all finished?
No, one of the things, the COVID thing, a couple of things we didn't get. We finally just received the cameras and stuff to put in them.
Right.
So we haven't got them all put together yet.
Okay.
So we finally got that stuff. And actually with the cameras came a computer system. We have to have that all, we need to have that hooked up too. What it does, every time they pull into the police station, the cameras will auto download to the computer.
Oh,
The
great.
computers for the cameras only. So every time they pull in, or even if they walk in the building with their body cameras on, they'll be able to auto download them to that. Now what it is, it's an evidence-based program. The county's using the same thing. The county's using all the same equipment. So it'll become a nice thing it'll become a little more seamless for our evidence and stuff to be entered in. So when they pull that stuff off the cameras and go right into evidence collection. So we're just got that finally, so we can get that stuff finished up and get them on the road here.
Great. Where did that go?
What, claims?
Oh, yeah, those. Thanks.
Any other questions on the claims? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is your financial report. You have two of them in front of you. You have a February's and March's.
And I actually have April's done, but I didn't get that out to everybody, so Ed doesn't have it, so we won't vote on that one.
So this is
Do you want the April one?
February and March. So the, let's see. That's not it.
Reimbursement for pickups.
Well, I make a motion to accept the financials, or should we do 1 month at a time here?
We can probably just do them together, since you're
Okay.
looking at both of them together.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Smith's made a motion to approve, Stelter seconded. Any council discussion? Any questions on them?
I thought I saw a $70,000 expenditure, but now I don't see
It's
it.
the very,
They're-
very top line, the
Oh,
very
yeah.
top line.
There should be a $70,000
On
expenditure
February.
for the
Okay.
police pickups.
Yes.
And then actually on April's, which didn't get out to everybody, so we're not approving that tonight, is the receipt of that coming back in for reimbursement.
Okay, so that's, the top line is 68,167 or
That one
something like
shows it
that.
going back in,
Yeah.
but Ed doesn't have that one, so we can't just. put that
Oh, okay. So we're coming back up on property taxes again here.
Yeah, it'll be property tax this month is the property tax, second half property taxes are due. And personal property, like trailer houses and mobile homes, stuff like that are due. So yeah, June should show us some more revenue income.
Okay.
Which, like I said, ending as of 4/30, we're at 169,290.
So we're still in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, way better shape than we've ever been. So.
Not after spending any money.
Yeah. That makes it go quick. Okay, motion's been made and seconded on the financials for February and March. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You can keep it. but we'll
Okay,
vote on
next
it.
one is mayor's report. Wanted to start out by, thanking everyone for everything they've done. We've kept City Hall open. As anyone's been in here in the last few days, you see we're doing a remodel in here. The times in the world are changing and we're trying to move with it. We're changing City Hall a little bit, moving everyone out to the front office. We'll have a bar there where people can walk in, still be able to pay their bills and stuff, but trying to limit that exposure to the city employees in the building and stuff. So we're trying to do everything we can. The employees aren't in their houses. We're doing a lot of things like that, but also we just like to talk to the public about that too, is just to stay with the CDC guidelines, follow the rules, and we'll all get through this. Probably my biggest thing that I want to get out to the public and really am concerned about, and we really need to support our local businesses. The local businesses, especially the little mom and pops, have really taken a hit through this. They've had to shut down, or they've had to go to different things, or they've lost product, they've lost time, they've lost a lot of sales. and I know a lot of the mom and pops, they make just enough money to be able to go golfing on Sunday or go out to dinner once in a while and pay their bills. And as a community, we need to come together and we need to support those locals as much as we can. I got my check the other day, compliments of Donald J. Trump, and that money needs to be spent locally as much as we can. If you need to wait a day or two to get something ordered in, from one of the places or something, let's do that. Let's just support the local businesses. And without the local businesses, we don't have a town. And that's what we need to do, is really stand up and support them right now and make sure they all do well. So moving on out of that is the other things have been going on. We've been talking about the water project. Last month we talked about the well. The engineers and the well driller pumped concrete down the well, and we had a hydraulic effect, which actually filled the well back up to the 97-foot mark. We were supposed to have it the concrete at the 250-foot mark. So in essence, what it is, it ruined the town's well. We've been in contact with the engineers and drilling company, and we're working on some stuff there, and we'll just see what comes of it. But in the meantime, we can't dwell on that. We need to move forward and developing a third well for the town to help cover our needs. So what we ended up doing is right beside the well house, as we went in with the drill rig, and we drilled another exploratory well, 6-inch well. We went down, we found about 30 gallons a minute at 110 feet. What we did then, we pushed casing down to that to seal that off, so we can keep drilling in a dry hole. And actually, what was interesting, they said after they went through that wet spot, they were actually pulling up dry clay. It was interesting to them, the drillers. It was really interesting how you go through a water structure like that, then just go a few more feet and actually have dry dirt coming out of the hole. They went down to about the 200-foot mark, 225-foot mark, something like that. I don't have that number in front of me. And they hit another 10 gallons a minute. And at each one of these stratas, they took a water sample. And then they went on down. There were supposed to have been another 40 gallons a minute at the 450-foot mark. So we went ahead and drilled down to that. There was no water there, very little water at that 450-foot mark. So we went ahead and took some water samples there anyways. We didn't want to go any deeper than that because of the radiologicals that have been showing up in the water. So took the water samples. We have some in the lab. It takes 30 days for their radiological results to come back to see what we're going to do. So what they did is the test hole, they went ahead and pulled all the casing out. What they do is they fill the hole back up, and that hole is just a test hole. For municipal water wells, it's a whole different drilling process and a whole different process they have to do in order to seal that upper strata, so you're not getting any infiltration water from groundwater or anything like that. So they seal that upper strata, and they do it a different process than a home well. So a municipal well is drilled a little different. So once we get these test results back, then we can go back in and drill and put that in, and then do a pump test, and hopefully we get that 60 gallons a minute, 60, 70 gallons a minute is kind of our target water, and we're hoping to get that when we do the pump test.
So the test well did not come up with 60, 70 gallons.
It come up with 30 at the top, 10, and then down in that lower strata, they got another roughly 20. But as the well driller said, sometimes when you pump test, you're doing an airlift, they're taking that water, they're just pushing it out with air. So it's kind of not real accurate. That's why they come back in once they drill the well, then they'll come back in and pump it for 72 hours, if I remember right. They pump on it, and then that gives an accurate well flow test.
Yeah.
That well was only producing 40 gallons a minute when we abandoned it.
Yeah.
So if we get 40 gallons a minute back with that well, we'll still be good.
Yeah, without the radon.
Right, without the radons in
Yeah.
it. One of the things that we're looking at is always nice to have the backup wells in case something happens. And you never know what could happen. Well number 1, which we use most of the time, we put a new pump in it not too long ago. But say that new pump fails. That happens all the time. We go to well number 2, we start pumping it hard. The trouble is that pump was put in 1966. It's never been serviced since. So that could fail.
Yeah.
So as soon as you put it online and that fails, now we're out of water. So
Yeah.
that was the idea with continuing with the third well. even if it only produces 40 gallons a minute, that's enough to handle the town. If you're not watering the lawns, if we just do household watering, and we're going off the winter numbers. So when we look at the winter daily flow rates, 40 gallons a minute will cover us, especially with our 400,000 gallons of storage. So that's not going to be a problem if we get it up and running. So that's where we're at on the well. Excuse me. And the rest of the project that we were going to do, the rehabbing the tank and doing the line extension is going to have to be on hold until we see how much money we're spending on the well. So we got to get the well done before we can continue with anything else. Of course, the tank rehab would be the second thing we do. And then the third thing would be the line extension. So we'll just have to see what kind of monies we have left after this. So far, we haven't really spent what was budgeted on the well yet. But of course, now we're not into drilling the new one yet either. So we'll just see how that goes. Yeah, we budgeted a little heavy on the well just because we didn't know what was going to happen. So we did do a pretty good sized budget in that grant on that.
So it said in the minutes, like it was another like 17 grand to drill the well.
The test well was another $17,000.
Okay, and then we still have like 16 left over to drill the well.
Yeah, and that's not going to drill a well. Probably going to be about $60,000 to drill a well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and how much do we have allotted for that? Well, you have a whole bunch of things lumped together.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole grant was right around $700,000 total
Okay.
money.
Yeah, so
So
we should be okay.
right, and that was
Money-wise.
right, and then it was on some of the things you can do. We were going to put a new lid on top of tank 1.
Right.
But after all the trouble we've had with the lid on tank 2, we decided we're not going to do that. So that money was budgeted, but we're going to spend it a different way. We're going to somehow coat that. We're going to rehab the lid, add the safety stuff, add some new vents, but recoat it and leave it there. So that'll be cheaper than putting a new lid on.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to save some money in some other spots just because we've come to realize that we don't want to do that. That aluminum dome on tank 2 has been a nightmare. Yeah. So we don't want that on tank 1. We don't want 2 nightmares. So we're just going to
rehab tank lid now on tank 1?
Steel.
Steel.
But what happens because the water's down in the tank, so the tank stays at kind of a constant temperature, but the roof then is getting your sun, it's getting cold, it's getting it swells and contracts with the condensation. So what happened is the coating they put on all peeled off quickly because of that. So, but after talking with the engineers and some other people in the industry that do this kind of stuff, like I said, they have new coatings now. I mean, that was last time it was coated was 1986. So they've come out with new coatings and new stuff that deal with that. That's why they kind of decided that we'll just leave the steel lid on the tank. We'll just rehab that, add the safety things, add the new vents, add the stuff to it, which will be less expensive than removing it and then adding a new lid. So
should be good.
Then on with the water, one of the things we've had is we came up with some coliforms in one of our tests again on the northwest side of town. And coliforms are a precursor to E. coli's. We did not have any E. coli's. Coliforms, the state doesn't require us to chlorinate. They want you to flush the system. They want you to do a bunch of things to see if you can get them out. In talking with the state again, since this is kind of been a little bit of an ongoing thing, we decided to go ahead and chlorinate again. It's just a light chlorinization. It's just barely have any in the water, but then we're flushing the hydrants too at the same time. So we got the chlorine in the system. We're flushing the hydrants, and they're letting the chlorine sit for a few days, and we're flushing the hydrants again to hopefully get those coliforms out of there, whatever's in there.
It came back clear. The test that just came back.
And that was the latest tests from that area are all clear. I mean, we only had one test that come back bad. We tested all of town. Only the tests in that area were bad. All the rest of town was fine. But try to get rid of them and get the system back clean. This was the state's suggestion, and a lot of conversation with the state back and forth with people in Kalispell and the DEQ people in Helena was to go ahead and get the chlorine in the system and flush and let it sit and flush and let it sit and flush and hopefully get that stirred up enough and get everything in there. Coliforms are naturally occurring. They're on everything. They're all over, mainly in dirt. I mean, anything with dirt has coliforms. So what happened is when we had that line break, we got dirt in the line. It could have just been sitting somewhere and got disturbed, rolled a little bit, and then brought some coliforms out just in that 2-block area that we tested. We tested in houses and we tested the sampling stations.
Do you know what the cutoff line is for the amount of coliforms in the test?
Any at all.
Any at all?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So
I'll have to
if they
test
detect
it.
any coliforms, we go into
Oh,
we
yeah,
we look at
that's
that
different
as
though.
yeah, on your discharge water, of course, that's
Discharge water
right.
is different.
so. And the coliforms and the drinking water, they're not going to hurt you, but it's a precursor. If you start seeing them, you got something going on in your system.
Yeah.
So that's why we tested all over in town. We went to all the sampling stations got tested, the wells got tested. We looked at everything, and it only came back in that one spot. So that's why we're doing what we're doing now. This will probably go on for another week because we want to keep flushing the hydrants and keep doing that and hopefully get that out of there so we don't see that again. So that's what we're. You saw in there, we bought our own chlorinization system and stuff instead of borrowing one. We were borrowing one from the state, and a couple times we brought in, and it just didn't work right. So we have our own now, and it's been working really well. So that's a good thing. City crew, of course, has been working streets, storm drains. We'll be getting the Durapatcher here pretty soon and get going on that. With the COVID thing going on, it's been hard getting a lot of things. We've been hard time getting gravel. I ordered 1,000 yards of pit run to start building some alleys, building some alleys up and get some things fixed. And we never have got that yet. I ordered that 6 weeks ago to start getting some alleys built up and stuff. We tried doing some ordering with one of the gravel companies out of Polson, and they don't have a lot of their staff on yet and stuff. So that was ordered over a week ago and haven't received any of that yet either. So we're trying to get things going, but just it kind of seems like we're dragging our feet, but it's kind of the whole world's dragging their feet, and we just have to drag along with it here. So we're doing some of the things we can do. Like right now, they're working on storm drains. We're redoing 6 storm drains right now in this project, this lineup of them. We're working on, like I said, City Hall, starting to mow, starting to get the weed eating and stuff done. So the crew's been pretty busy doing all that kind of stuff. So any other questions on any of that stuff? Public service announcement for census. We like to remind people to go online and respond to the census. At this point, we've only had about 17% of the people respond. And I went on early, when they first started saying go online and do it, and you had to have an ID number. Well, now the census has taken that off. You do not have to have the ID number that you were going to get in the mail.
Okay.
Turned out what the census did is they mailed them all the street addresses.
Yeah.
So the post office returned them all.
Oh, boy.
So,
4 times.
Oh, my goodness.
so
Because they
now
don't
is what
know.
they're doing is there's a button on there. So if you don't have your number, there's a button you can push. It'll take you to another screen, and then you can start entering your stuff to be looked at the census. One of the things is with the COVID thing, it's going to be hard for the census to go door to door.
Oh, yeah.
So as many people that can go online, get on there, follow the instructions on there, and do all that. If you have any questions, come into City Hall. We have the census people. They have people working in the area, and you can call them, and they can walk you through it, or we can figure something out for you to walk you through to make sure you get counted. And counting is one of the biggest things for Hot Springs and for Sanders County, is because the numbers actually is what brings the money to the town to look at for grants and different things. It's also our state Senate and House district lines. It has to do with a bunch of different things. So going on and getting counted is actually very important. They don't ask any personal questions or any of that. And I know there's a lot of people, if you go on in there, and I haven't been on, so I can't say exactly. sometimes there's other questions on there. I know there was the last time the questionnaire went on and on and on, asking different questions. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, but at least if you just get counted, just
Yeah.
start with who you are and how many people you have in your house. And even if you stop there, that's okay. We need
What's
the people counted.
website again?
It's a census. I just put in census, but it's
Right here.
2020 census.gov.
2020 census.
Gov.
And she said you can use you'll use your street address to verify
Okay.
instead of the census number.
And you want your street address. Okay.
Okay. So if no one has any more questions for me, we'll move on. New business, clerk's wage increase. Where this comes from, I don't know if we talked about this the last meeting, but the clerk of court quit.
Oh, yeah.
So what we've had to do is now Amy's had to take over that job. So that's added a whole bunch more to her daily routine. So what they've been doing is her and the attorney have been going through the court stuff, organizing and getting it put together. And Amy's been taking training from full court every week to get in the system. And then the full court representatives have been helping straighten out the things in the court system that has turned up. Eric's reorganizing the evidence room and how the evidence is collected and stored and all that. They've been doing that with help of the town attorney. The town attorney's been coming over and spending afternoons and stuff, helping go through everything and make sure it's all done legally. So it's been a big job, and it adds a lot more with her day-to-day routine, which makes you hustle more and more. And I guess that's where I'm one of those, I guess I'm a wage guy. The more you do in an 8-hour thing, I don't mind paying more. I'm sorry, I'm not a longevity or just because you've been working here 20 years, you get more money. It's if you do a better job and get more done for us, I think we need to pay more for that. And actually, it's going to be a pretty big job now with doing the clerk and now the clerk of court and a few of the other things. And with Jerry going to halftime. And then Jerry wants to limit his exposure to the COVID, so he's taking Tuesdays and Thursdays off.
Oh, wasn't he?
I think
Okay,
he's
so
back now full time.
Oh, he's back now. He's over the COVID thing, so he's
Yeah.
back
he's
full
over the
time.
bed. Yeah, he's over that. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So what is the pay raise? From what to what?
I'm making $13.50 right now.
Okay, and we're gonna go to.
Did you have that figured out?
No.
Well, why?
I
What were we
budgeted-
playing the clerk of court?
We budgeted the clerk of court was getting $275 a month.
Okay, and that was like how many hours a month?
10.
Okay.
Part of it is
No,
you
she had to do
can't
part of it, yeah.
part of it is you can't judge what she did because of
Yes, I know.
So like when you were cleaning your kitchen, it was kind of like cleaning the courtroom.
Oh, yeah. So, well, we just need the facts. Just give us the money number. So we can say yes or no.
$1.
Yeah, I figured it out. It's we budgeted for $275 for her, and based on full-time wages, it's like $1.59 or something difference.
Okay.
But that doesn't take into account the extra taxes and stuff like that. So $1 would be fair.
Okay. Well,
Or do you want to go $1.50?
Yeah, let's go to $1.50. That would make it a nice round even number, and
50,
that's like
yeah,
minimum
15.
wage in Washington State.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll make a motion, we give the town clerk $1.50 an hour raise. That would put her at $15 an hour.
Second.
Leslie makes a motion. Paul seconds. Any council discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We're blessed to have her.
Motion
Yeah.
carried. Next item on the agenda is request to use rodeo grounds for Homesteaders Day Rodeo. This has been one of the things that we got the rodeo grounds, that was part of it, is being an event center for the town, and hopefully I get to rename it. I got the banner being made. It's gonna be the Randall A. Woods Event Center. I'm gonna put it over the thing.
There's no
I tried getting Lawrence to pay for it, but he wouldn't. So I get some money together here.
Oh, he's
Lawrence went away. He was on there, and
He's having a hard time.
he went away. So one of the things is with the COVID thing, a lot of concerns and a lot of things, but also one of the things like I've been telling people is with the way the COVID works with weather and being out in nature, UV light breaks it down instantly. Wind, it doesn't like anything over 77 degrees. So we're doing this later on in June. And one of the things with this is if we're going to cancel it completely, it might be the end of it. And my suggestion was, and this is what I kept telling everybody in the beginning here, is let's go ahead and plan it. And if the governor's office says, nope, you can't have a rodeo, it's easy to cancel it. But if we wait till the last minute and try and plan it, no way can we. So we need to keep moving forward on planning the Homesteaders Day rodeo anyways at the rodeo grounds. The stock contractor's already been lined up. We have everything lined up for the rodeo. And we're just waiting to see what comes out in the restrictions. Some of the things like today, I just got on one of my other boards I sit on the Sanders County Fair Board, which I'm the chairman of. So I get stuff all the time from the PRCA. And today the PRCA put out a 27-page document on how they're handling COVID and going on with rodeos. So they have some rules and stuff that they have and recommendations they have for rodeos all the way through. Mainly, of course, it's their contestants and employees and all that stuff. But one of the interesting things was it was one of the pages in there was safety messaging for the public. And what they suggested doing is posting signage at entry points, grandstands, ticket booths, print the language on the tickets or on a piece of paper you give them, post language on websites, online tickets, anything, and then the personal safety, which is warning: enter venue at your own risk. Facility assumes no responsibility for the spread of infectious diseases. By entering, you agree that you are accepting responsibility for your own personal safety and the safety of others by following all CDC recommended guidelines, including social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Please bring and wear a face mask covering your nose and mouth. Utilize the hand washing and sanitizing stations regularly. Do not enter venue if you're suspected susceptible to illness or are showing symptoms of infectious disease. By entering the venue, you are acknowledging that you are releasing the owner and all sanctioning and participating parties of liability. The act of entering the venue hereby releases, waives, discharges, covenants not to sue the venue owner, event organizers, and affiliated parties. This is the language the PRCA is using. And of course, like I said, it's a 27-page document. They have some other stuff in there, some of the things you can do. Mainly on event personnel, the people working the shoots, the staff, the participants, and all that. On some health screenings they do the basic health screening. You have a temperature, have you had these two symptoms in the last 24 hours, and that. So there's some other language, but this is mainly
Is
for
that for employees or for the volunteers for the rodeo?
Right, that would be if depends on how it goes. I mean, there's a way to do this, and if they keep depends on how the state lightens up the rules is where
Right.
that's at. So if the state says we have to continue with the health screening and the distancing and all that, then these rules can be put in place, like the screening deal. You ask the contestants. So be anyone in that deal. The only thing for the public is right here. This is the only thing for the public, and this is what they recommend is posting it. Everyone gets that with the day of the cut sheet. Is hey, you're here at your own risk. If you don't want to get COVID, don't come to the rodeo.
Is the Sanders County Fair going to happen?
Yes.
Yes.
We're in full. Actually, we have all the commercial vendor stuff is out, and most of them have already returned acknowledgement that they're coming. Food vendors, I believe, last I talked to the fair manager, I think everyone has that we contacted from last year is coming back. Of course, our rodeo's ready to go, our demo's ready to go, the demolition derby. If you want, anyone want to look at it, it's got its own Facebook page. It's called Carnage on the Clark Fork, and we're advertising that and doing that as a separate event. Carnage on the Clark Fork is actually we have pre-registered and already paid 68 cars. We've limited it to 68 cars for the show.
That's the demo.
The demo derby.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all good to go. We're pushing on like it's going to happen, which it should. I mean, that's the fair this year is the 1st of September. I mean,
Yeah, it's way down there. Yes.
way down the road. One of the things that the people have to realize, COVID-19 is here for life. We got to deal with it. Some of the things, some of the rules and some of the things that are going into place are actually things that I've been telling people should have went in place years ago during the flu season. I mean, the sneeze bars when you go to the bank or you go to a store where the checkout person is, having the plexiglass shield there so you're not breathing on them or sneezing on them or the big things. If you're sick, if you have the symptoms, if you have a temperature of over 100, don't go out in public. I mean, these are the things that as a society we're way too lax on, and maybe this will be that wake up call for all the things. I mean, so anyways, with the rodeo, I've already talked, Lawrence and I already talked. Lawrence is on the speakerphone here because he doesn't have enough bandwidth to be on the computer. He didn't buy the next best package. But we're gonna, with that is Lawrence and I talked about, this language needs to be there no matter what. We need to have lots of hand washing stations. And push that. We're already working on that. The social distancing is going to be hard at any big event. But back to, if we recommend people wearing masks and doing some of those things, but back to also you're out in nature. Nature, COVID doesn't like nature. And as you know, if you've ever been to the rodeo grounds, I've never known it when the wind doesn't blow. So COVID is already down the road if you do sneeze. But hopefully there's some things we can do there. And one of the things we really need to do, though, is continue planning and going forward with the event. And then if the governor's office says on Wednesday before, nope, you can't do it, nope, we're sending the National Guard to stop you, it's easy to stop. But I really think if we don't do it and we put it all on hold and let it go away, I think that's just going to make it go away. We need to continue and build it and bring it into some. And I think Lawrence has, and I have too, have already been contacted by multiple vendors that want to come. I mean, they're ready to come. I know that tacos, Cajun. There was another one that asked me the other day that saw me somewhere. I wanted to know if we were doing homesteaders because they're ready to come. I mean, so they're ready to come and set up and be vendors at the event too. So and I guess back to like a lot of things is, if you feel you meet the criteria that you don't want to get exposed to COVID and that, then just stay away from the event. Some people are concerned it's bringing the COVID virus to Hot Springs. And one of the things I've talked to a lot of people in the last month, I'm going to guarantee you everyone in Hot Springs has been out of town and into a large store, whether it be Walmart, whether it be a doctor's office, whether it be anywhere out of town, and they've been into that exposure mode anyways. So
many people from Washington, Idaho coming here for a small town store and find.
We've already had lots of Washington, Idaho here. And the other thing is what we're finding is actually Amy and I were up in the woods the other day, and there's people hiding out up there with Washington plates. I mean, they're here. They're hiding in the brush and they're doing
coming
different things.
in and they're doing their quarantine time, but they're not like mixing with the public, that they have motorhomes, and stuff like that. So and we can't keep them from crossing the state lines.
No. Well, and that's it's just some of the examples I use. And Montana is a huge state, so someone can come from Broadus or Billings. For instance, I know two guys are going to come from Billings next week and be here for a few days. And that's okay, but someone from Wallace can't come. The two guys I know are coming from Billings, Billings is a hot spot. Wallace isn't.
So the stock contractor, if it does come down to it and the governor makes us cancel the rodeo at the last minute, Is the stock contractor gonna be okay with that?
Well,
That's a Lawrence question.
he would have to be. Lawrence, did you hear the question?
Are we gonna get,
Do we lose
Yeah,
him?
the stock contractor will be okay with that.
he will be, okay. And then the other part, have you tried to get your insurance policy in place?
Yes, the insurance has already been all taken care of and stuff. There have no restrictions for the virus on the insurance. So it's all go for the insurance. I just got to give her a check.
Okay, and the city's on there as a co-insured.
Named.
I had a few people that were concerned about it, but I agree that you have to plan for it. And otherwise, you're never gonna get it together to pull it off.
Well, and some of the problems is kind of as a nation and as people and all that, we need to understand that it's not going away. We need to plan for it. We need to do some things to protect ourselves. So we got to go back to normal life too. Normal life has to continue. We can't hide at home for life. I mean, and that's what you're looking at, because these things aren't going away. And then, yeah, they are going to come out with some vaccines. They're going to come out with some different things for COVID. But that's down the road just a month or so. You know, it's.
Well, and I know that Flathead County has had cases, and in the past, I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks now. Every Friday, they can get the entire town is coming out for Cruise Kalispell.
Mhm.
And I got stuck in it one weekend by accident. Took me 2 hours to get from Walmart out of town. And I mean, there's people, mainly there's people in their cars, but there's people outside too, like some lawn chairs, and they've been doing it. And then somebody even pointed out, they're like, this is the 3rd or 4th week that we've been doing this, and there have not been any new cases.
Right.
In that area.
Yeah, they've been doing it now
So-
for over a month.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just been one of the guys that comes in on Friday, stops in on Friday on his way to Kalispell. I know the one day because I got to hurry. I got to get back to the
It's
to
actually
the show.
really cool. We went out there. Me and Josh and all the kids went out there and we stayed in our car, but like there's food vendors out there and we did get some meat from somebody and we stayed in the car and drove around. But I mean, that's just it, is that if people don't want to come out and come to the rodeo, they don't have to. But I think that those of us that want to get out, and it's the same thing that they're saying, that since we have been overprotecting ourselves, this coming fall, sixth season is going to be even worse because we're not building up immunities.
They don't know.
And yeah, I'll start doing that. Thanks for
Yeah.
pointing that out.
I want to ask about the street dance then.
They asked about the street dance, and that's next on the open container. That's the next thing. Is we've talked of a couple different things. Is actually they would like to keep the open container waiver on the agenda, and the purpose for that is back to have it approved and ready to go. If they do it or not, at least it's on there. It's not.
Yeah.
Some of the things we've been talking about. Do we gonna do the street dance? Is that too much? Is that bringing people into town? Or do we just go ahead and Lawrence just hires a band and has them out at the rodeo grounds? Just
Well,
keeps
the-
everyone out there.
The 2 bars have gone in and hired a band already,
Okay.
and they're willing to talk them into doing it at the rodeo grounds if that's, and Lawrence said he didn't care if it's out there. It's just, I think that a lot of the chamber members, and I don't know, they did a little census, an email thing, a questionnaire, to see if they did or didn't want the rodeo this year. And since I'm not doing the parades, I'm not setting up the street stage, I'm not getting vendors for downtown, I'm not going to fleece the poor business people who are broke and put together a flyer, and I'm not printing t-shirts or anything. So the girls, they're not sure what they're doing, so is Judy going to bring in her flat bed trailer? I mean, it's just pretty up in the air.
Well, one of the things, though, we're still a few weeks out. We're still. So
Not
we need
that far out.
I know,
But
it's pretty
that's why we need to
close
plan
us.
for it tonight. That's why we need to be looking at it going.
One thing about it is I think that people, everybody that comes to it, they know what weekend it is. and whether they know what's going on or not, I bet they're gonna show up, people are gonna show up anyway.
Well, they're
I
gonna
just
show,
don't think they're
I was
going
asked
to
to make sure
because
everybody
they
came through.
canceled our Lee powwow. That's 125 year annual powwow, and they canceled that powwow this year. So, you know.
well, it's back to one of my concerns is people are overreacting to this and they're stopping life. And we have to continue on with life. I mean, and there's things out there we need to protect ourselves with, things we need to do, but we need to move forward too. We can't just all of a sudden stay in our houses from now on. COVID's here for life.
Well, it is
It's-
opening up little bit by little
Mhm.
bit, and a perfect example is me having to follow all of these, the governor's phase 1 and reopening procedures, and only 10
Right.
people, and the grocery store, and everybody has these rules that have been set down by the governor. You know that I believe me, they would come down all over me if I opened those pools tomorrow. I would catch hell. So a lot of people would be in the pool, but I'd also catch hell from a few of the ones who like to call City Hall and complain about whatever.
Well, one of
up
the
to.
things, even if you do the dance and all that, even if we do it out the rodeo grounds, one of the concerns from some of the public is bringing it to town. Well, if we keep all the people at the rodeo grounds, they're not really coming to town. But that's going to hurt the businesses that benefit from homesteaders, which is the bars.
The bars is who it's going to benefit, because everything else is going to be closed.
Right.
I can't open more than 50% of my occupancy.
So even if
And
we
I'm
did
not
have
taking anybody from Washington or Idaho.
so you're discriminating.
Yes, I am, because of the governor having a 14-day quarantine.
That's 14 days. You get to rent them a room, Leslie.
No, I'm not putting up the COVID wing here. No,
Yeah.
it's just not happening.
If we
They
could find
have
a
to
building
make-
in town that we could turn into a
Yeah.
COVID hospital, I know there's money out there to buy it.
Well, there's evergreen up there, so let's go for it, you know?
So
It's not gonna be me.
let's get back on,
Rodeo
let's
first,
get
yeah.
back on here. So request is to use the rodeo grounds for Homesteaders Day rodeo. Do we need to have any more discussion on that, or
No, I think we're ready to vote.
Okay.
But we need a motion.
someone needs to make a motion?
I motion to approve it.
Crystal makes a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Ed seconds it. Any more council discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Leslie opposed.
Leslie opposed.
Just to make sure.
Everybody, Leslie opposed.
Just beat me up, I don't care.
Next item on the agenda is request for open container waiver and street closure. Be the same as normal for homesteaders. So we'll close the street and then have open container in the normal area.
I want to clarify that, because when I was reading that, it sounded like it was just the sidewalk.
So just to,
Yeah.
because we weren't doing the full homesteaders close the whole street down and everything, I used the Banditos waiver.
Yeah.
And the Banditos is just
It's
along
on
our
Lee.
Lee and in front of the two bars.
In front of the two bars, on the sidewalk, and a couple of parking spaces. in
Well, it's
front of each of
basically
the two
the, yeah,
bars.
it's the same
Yeah.
thing as they do for Banditos.
Yeah.
But I would think if we do the street dance for homesteaders or do this, we at least need to close that whole block.
Yeah, well, see, we don't know who's doing that or what they're doing.
So
So
what,
we have no information to go by. So, do you just want to amend this to say the whole block in front of the bars that with,
how does that work on?
because,
that's what
well,
I'm
we
thinking.
usually close the street all the way down at
From
the
here
bank
to
and all the way up to
Right.
Wall Street
But that's why I think we just do it for just that block in front of the
for
bars.
that block.
Yeah, just
That's
from,
what
Okay.
I think, because I think that even if we don't have the street dance, I think people are so used to just having that whole
They'll
street.
come downtown, and Judy said she'll bring the band in the bar. or
like I said, even
maybe
if there's a band in the bar,
Charlie
you're gonna
would.
have 100 people up or 200 people
Yeah,
uptown.
sure.
And then
anyways.
it's
Okay.
easier to-
So we have to amend this.
Okay.
Okay,
What do you want to say?
verbiage, we need some verbiage.
What do we have last year's,
200
It's
block
different.
of Main Street and the street between Main Street and Central on our Lee. This side street we always close down too.
Yeah, the side
so-
street
Mhm.
between
So,
Central and
not
our
our
Lee.
And then the 200 block of Main Street.
Whoa, okay,
That
that's
people
not
can
very
still
clear,
park
but
out here.
between Wall and our Lee on Main Street.
Which is
Right.
the 200 block. It's every address. It's a 200 address.
Okay, so, but just to clarify for
Yeah.
normal people
Okay.
here, between Wall Street, we would
Wall
close the
and
street.
Arlee,
Yeah, between Wall and Arlee.
and then
between
Arlee to
Arlee
Central.
And then we would allow open container. And let's see, the parking areas will include a buddy bar and fire pits. Friday and Saturday evening. And then no glass allowed on the street, plastic cups and cans only. Bar owners will be expected to clean up the outside areas at closing each night or whatever day. And bar owners will provide event insurance for $1 million, naming the town of Hot Springs as additionally insured. Does that make sense? Okay, and the date would be Saturday, June 13th until 2 a.m. And are you gonna do it on Sunday also?
Well, no, that was like I said, I used this, but what they have in here is from Friday night to Saturday bar
Yeah.
closing, and then from Saturday evening to Sunday bar closing.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I don't know,
Yeah.
and neither did Judy,
Well,
didn't know
because the
exactly what
rodeo
the plan
goes
would
2
be.
days in a row.
Yeah.
But
It'll be
usually on
Saturday and
Sunday, not
Sunday.
many come uptown
Well,
afterwards.
I think so. I've been up there drinking and it's been pretty full.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you gonna be up there drinking this year,
Well, we went
Leslie, or are you gonna stay at home?
Maybe. I don't know.
So
But I didn't put Sunday on here. This
Yeah.
is until 2 a.m. on Sunday. It's just till the bar closes
Just-
Sunday.
It's just, yeah, it's not, Sunday's
It's
not,
Oh, I
not
see.
Sunday
Not
afternoon.
Sunday.
Right.
No.
Okay,
not
so
on Sunday at all.
we got it down now?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much does that affect businesses actually that are downtown but haven't closed, where people can't park and go to businesses? Gambles,
Wow.
Bucks.
Actually, since she's not doing anything, we're not closing the street until 7 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, let's be sure we get that in there.
See, it
because-
says the waiver will be in effect
Yeah.
Friday from 7 to 2, and then on Saturday,
What I
and from 3 p.m. Saturday until, so 3
2
a.m.
a.m.
till
Sunday
2
morning.
a.m. So Friday doesn't affect at all, and actually it'll
I
probably be
can
a,
change that.
and we probably should change those times, because it'd be nice to do it, say at 6 or something
That's
like
what I was
that on
thinking,
Friday
Yeah,
night.
because you don't want to disrupt the businesses on. Main
And then open
Street.
it up
Yeah.
and then go ahead and do it again at 6 or so on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because the rodeo will be going on and all that anyways. No one's gonna be up there. It'll be,
Yeah.
because you're not doing anything on Main Street. You're not gonna have any vendors, no nothing.
Parades, no nothing.
So is
So
there a way then to just close half of Main Street? You
Well,
know
it's
what I mean?
just
They don't
that
have any
one
way
block.
to drive and turn around. They can't drive and turn around. So you just close from the end to end.
Yeah,
As
we
long
don't
as
want
it,
them
long as it
driving.
doesn't
But
impede
after
with the
6, all
businesses,
those
I think it's
businesses are
fine.
closed.
Yeah, as long
anyways.
as it's like after business
Yep.
hours.
Yeah,
That'll be okay.
and then just get all the
Okay.
cars off of there, and then they can just open it up, and then they can bring the band stuff in and get all
Okay,
that
so
set up.
that is, who is they? Because it's usually my team who does all of that.
Judy
And-
is the one that asked. for
You
the
have
waiver.
nothing to do with it because you voted no, so you have nothing to do with it.
No,
That's the rodeo.
no.
I
Oh,
haven't voted on
so
that.
you're
Judy
gonna,
asked for the waiver, so this waiver is to Judy. This would be, she is the one that has to provide me with the insurance. She is the one that has to
Yep.
get in touch with me. This is Judy that requested it, so it will be Judy that has
And their
to
teams
deal
are
with
gonna
it.
clean up the street because
Yeah,
believe me,
so-
that's my job every year. And Danny did it for years. And so,
so you're
But they
volunteering?
do
But
it.
I mean, that's
they
the
do
same
it
thing
for
the
band-
banditos
They do
and
it the
bars
same
take
thing
care
for
of it.
band
yeah, the
shows.
bars will take care of it. And
Yeah.
it
The bars
says
will
in
take care
here,
of it.
bars will
Yep.
take care of it. Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion. We do the open.
can we read it out again so that we totally
Yeah.
know?
Okay, well, the waiver will be in effect Friday, June 12th, 2020 from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. June 13th, 2020 from 6 p.m. Saturday, June 13th until 2 a.m. June 14th. And then the waivers apply from open container from Arlee, from Main Street closure from Arlee to Wall, and Arlee closure from Main to Central.
That's clear.
Do we need to go to the alley by the post office?
No,
Okay.
no, that's gonna be open. People can,
Okay.
then people can park here,
They
then
can
they can
park
leave by
in-
going down Arlee and leaving.
And they could still
Yep.
park from our lead down to the bank.
Yep.
And all of that, yeah.
That'll be all for parking out here, so that'll actually be a little easier on people too. So.
Yeah, and then the girls that are buying, that are paying for the band, they can decide what they want to do about the music.
Yep.
Okay.
So, okay, so I made that motion.
Let's see, made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Crystal seconds. Any council discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
Buy local.
That's the biggest thing, is buy local. Any other public comment?
Randy, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Hey, I was wondering, Leslie, what did your survey turn out with the chambers?
It's flawed though, because some of us chamber members never got a survey. So they only took surveys from the people they knew they get the right answers from. It's similar to a political survey, where you ask loaded questions to see if they throw your ballot out or not.
Yeah, well, I didn't answer my email, but the only person I talked to that did, and she had a negative response, was Tammy from Gamble's. And she, of course, is a very compromised, has compromised health, and feels like the town has been very diligent about sequestering and, quarantining in place, and doesn't want a case of
I
COVID,
was just wondering.
or whatever it is in town.
Do you know what the survey came back?
I have to ask Sandy. It was the phone company. Sandy's the secretary of the chamber, and she can give us, and we're having another conference, a telephone conference meeting on Thursday to discuss it. So that's how it goes. They wanted to know what we were gonna do at the city level.
So the chamber is still going to donate to the rodeo then?
I don't know about that. Everybody's so broke. I'm in the hole like you can't believe, but I'm sure they've sent out their donation envelopes already. So I'm sure they've already received money.
So
back.
they actually don't know what the results are, Lawrence.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
all.
find out. Sandy knows.
But some of us chamber members didn't get ballots because they knew how we'd answer, so that throws it off.
You didn't get one, I take it.
No.
Do you pay someone else to answer your email? Because
Well, I'm gonna guess it's loaded. It's fixed just like the rest of the stuff. I have a motion to adjourn. We have no public comment.
I moved to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.